I know a lot of you can relate to this, feeling like you're not good enough, feeling like, oh, how could I mess this up, you know, and just it's one of the worst feelings probably that I've really ever experienced. And I remember laying in bed feeling terrible about myself. Boy, I used to tear myself apart. Instead of having your attention focused on the present, which is the only thing that can change the future, you have your attention in the past. And on top of that, now you're not in the best state of mind, beating myself up for my mistakes, laying in bed all day, just drowning in this self hatred, I guess you could say, is not going to change the past. As I said, is more likely to. If you don't know who I am, my name is Oliver Thor Collington, and I am going to talk about how and why I regret nothing. But before I get into that, I would like to speak about how I was before I discovered this understanding that I'm going to be talking about in this video. So, I'm really trying to zone in to these old feelings, and I can tell you that I used to be the type where when I made mistakes in things that I cared about that were important to me, I and I know a lot of you can relate to this. I had a strong tendency to beat myself up about things. I had a strong tendency to, when I would make a mistake, just like drown in the just drown myself in negative feelings. Um, feeling like you're not good enough, feeling like, oh, how could I mess this up, you know, and just it's one of the worst feelings probably that I've really ever experienced. And I remember laying in bed about, in multiple different occasions for multiple different reasons, and just feeling terrible about myself, and just feeling like a screw up, you could say. And this is not a good place to be, and I don't think it's very helpful either. So that gives you a general idea about how my mistakes used to affect me. I would criticize myself a whole lot, beat myself up for it, especially when it was a mistake that I had already made before, or something that I had, learned so much about and told myself so many times that I wasn't gonna do, and then went right ahead and did it. So that's about all for how I used to feel when I made a mistake. I don't know what brought me to this understanding. I do not know what helped me to discover this understanding, but I will just tell you what it is, why I regret nothing. So, I believe that everything that happens is meant to happen. Now, before I say this, I want to make it clear that you can believe in any higher power that you want. You can believe in any religion. I would just say that you have to believe that we're not like that there's some like meaning to why we're here. We're not just alien visitors on a lifeless planet. So all you have to really believe is that there's something like else in us. There's something that's not like physical, that can't be seen or physically touched, or you know. So If you believe in any religion, you can believe what I'm about to say. As I said, whatever higher power you want to believe in, I know that the higher power I believe in, which I'm not even completely sure what that is, and I don't think I ever will be during my time living this human experience, I guess you could say. But I know that this higher power makes no mistakes. That is why everything happens for a reason. I believe that, they're completely in control. They have a plan. And so every single thing that happens in my life, every decision I make, everything that I go through is meant to happen. And also, to go even a little further, everything that happens is meant to be received as a lesson and a blessing. But right now, what I'm talking about is the lesson part. So, every mistake can be received as a lesson. And, I make mistakes every day, of course, just like everyone else. And still, I practice things and tell myself I'm not going to do things and then end up doing them. And boy, I used to tear myself apart about those types of things, making the same mistakes repeatedly, telling myself I wasn't going to do something and then doing it. And now it's so beautiful because I'm learning to smile after I make that mistake. I'm learning to see the beauty in it, and it's and it's just happening naturally. Just knowing okay, this is meant to be. And then seeing, okay, how can I learn from this? What can I take from this? Not beating myself up I can't believe I did that. Oh my gosh, that's going to set me so far back. Seeing the beauty in what has happened. Seeing it as just it was meant to be. And the other part to why I don't regret anything anymore, this part, you really don't have to believe in any religion. This is just simple facts. I believe that, and I think most people believe that there is nothing you can do to change the past. To my knowledge, off the top of my head, everything I've thought of in my life so far, I haven't thought of, I can be honest that I haven't really tried to think of a way to change the past, but I don't believe it's possible. And so, with that being said, criticizing yourself for the past, having regrets about the past, is not going to change the past. In fact, it's more likely to negatively impact the future. Because you have, number one, you have your attention focused on the past. So instead of having your attention focused on the present, which is the only thing that can change the future, you have your attention in the past. And on top of that, your attention, you're you're focused on it in a negative aspect. And so that's just even more likely to negatively impact the future, because now you're not in the best state of mind. You're not in a very, I guess, helpful state of mind, in the simplest way to put it. So that is pretty much why, the other reason that I don't regret anything. Because I know that regretting things, I know that criticizing myself for my mistakes, beating myself up for my mistakes, laying in bed all day just drowning in this in this self hatred, I guess you could say, almost, is not going to change the past. As I said, is more likely to negatively impact the future. So, instead of criticizing myself for the past, I try my best to put all my attention into the present. So because my none of my attention is on the past, I'm able to put it all in the present and use more of my, energy here in the present where the change is really made. So that is pretty much all. Just want to bring this to a conclusion. I want to say that remember that everything that happens is meant to happen. Remember that you are exactly where you need to be. Remember that criticizing yourself for what happened in the past will not change the past and is more likely to negatively impact your future. So with that being said, you may not believe me. You may wonder, how can I love you without seeing you, without even knowing who you are? But I can tell you, in fact, I can promise you, whether you believe it or not, I love you. Keep working.